So, good evening everybody. Welcome to July meeting at Town Council. I've got apologies from Councillor Bell. And we've got apologies from...
We've got apologies from Councillor.
Declarations of interest. These declarations made a lot of is to approve a correct record of the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 23rd of June. So is there any comments, comments or amendments to those? For the second event, please. To advise clerks of the to receive an update from the town clerk with any ongoing work not on for this meeting.
Why three members of the public have written to me and said, why?
One of the court pages on the floor.
Oh, good. So it will change. Yeah, brilliant. I will reply to those recommendations.
The other thing, there's just something aspects yeah, the pages there as well. And after that, just texting on the
Item 6 is public forum. We don't have any public yet, so we'll go on to item 7, which is report from the Borough and County Council. We've got a new Borough report, but not the County Council reports, unfortunately. I think we all know item 1 about the local government reorganisation. I think we all know that. I'm not sick of it, but we know all about it. And I've read it. I hope everybody else has read it. Is there anything you want to agree with?
Yes, a few things. David very kindly dealt with point 4, which is the applications, which I presume is this document, is it? So what I don't understand, for me simple, is how we know which ones have been determined. Is that?
It's a
So that's part of the.
not on there. It's there. Sometimes it says approved or whatever.
Right.
When you search,
Yes.
I try to explain that and this the instructions I put.
Okay. I didn't try myself.
It doesn't tell you which ones. It tells you which have been decided.
Yes.
But until you press the print key, it doesn't tell you what the outcome or the decision was. And then when you press the print key, it says it for you.
Oh, glad you told us that. Thank you. Okay, because obviously we have no means of knowing otherwise, so I'm grateful for that. Some other little updates. Somebody sent me, this is regarding item 9, somebody sent me an image of new wooden windows being installed, another one maybe back, looking rather small, quite bright actually. And then number 11, because we understand, because of the reused flags around the wall, we are looking at and have contacted the business operators and have managed to work out who the building owners are for Farm Foods on Market Street. And my sort of idea about this is, this was the site of the Savoy Cinema back in the day, and it was demolished in 1960 apparently, and it was rather smart. Okay, okay, all right.
altered a lot.
Altered a lot, okay. All right, it became Scott's Supermarket in 1960. So the first floor of Farm Foods was actually rather smart, sorry, of the Savoy Cinema was rather smart. And although we're having a sort of more conceptual mural, which will go out to tender for where the former co-op was, I thought it'd be rather nice, you know, sort of nod to our history, if we had a trompe l'oeil of the Savoy Cinema, as was above Farm Foods. That's very, very convincing. And I thought, whimsically, don't know what you think about this, we could have our two free men of Combe, Jeff Cranby and Stephen Burke, sort of just going out the window. Would be quite nice. Dorothy, do you have a question?
Are you the chair?
No, just about
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I won't agree to that, even though the owner have the freedom of the borough. If there was anything on there, I should partly make
Okay.
one from the Titanic and one that made jam the waterside. They are the most famous
Okay.
common people.
And that links to Hartley Square quite nicely across the road as well. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for boring you. So moving on, item 14. We don't need, Gina told us we're having difficulty sourcing a solicitor. We don't actually need a solicitor. So Stronger Together, Calderdale Energy Park people have a retired solicitor. They're going to draft something by the end of this week, and then it's simple for them, Gina, to just submit that to the planning inspectorate and also the Saudi Arabian backers. And so therefore we were concerned about potential legal costs, but the legal costs will be zero. I don't know whether anybody has any other questions for me, perhaps regarding the neighbourhood plan. A neighbourhood plan section.
Brian, do you want to on the neighbourhood plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, the neighbourhood
It's
was
later on.
further on the agenda. We shouldn't be talking about it now.
Sorry, it was me. I apologise.
Well, we'll do it on the neighbourhood plan when it comes up. Then we've got. Thank you for the report, and I wish we had a Centre Council report as well. Right, item 8 is excluded.
Chair, can I just mention something? We do have public councillors
We do.
besides Ash. And I
It's
was
not
really
It's not county council now.
sorry.
It's not county council, it would have to be Marion Atkinson
Sorry, yeah.
or Nathan Collin, one of those two.
So are they aware of this?
They've been invited several times and ignored it.
And I just say one thing, it's safe for free door and range of both. No show at all. Once they've now started to write to Stephen Atkinson at LCC and say your representatives are not bothering. That was the latest one from both, I think. So again, we might wish to start escalating it. I mean, common decency says please send a report of some company. Plenty of stuff related to highway and such a thing.
Not a big set. We've got the healthy community streets sort of.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement that we should give that to Stephen Atkinson? Yeah.
Looking on the right side, and it can sort itself out.
Well, he's the chair of the county council. We can sort of ask him how he's look into area.
Why don't we just ask them ourselves?
We tried, but this won't turn up. Tell you what, Dorothy, let's ask at Kearney area.
They're all.
Let's ask at Kearney area why Marion doesn't go. Well. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gaston, while they're not coming to the town and parish councils. That they come in.
Many councillors that don't turn up, we've never asked what, why, you know, so, I don't.
Councils that come in, we have to ask them, I think.
Well, for the villages at least, I can say, we go to all the village, councils, that are on those councils, and the county councillors, until this last year, have always turned up, always. And they just turn up for their little slot, and then they go to the next village. This is the first time ever that there's just tumbleweed of, county councillors report at the villages.
Right, we want to item 8 then, exclusion of the public. To determine during which items then the public are to be excluded from the meeting. Such an exclusion will need to be on the grounds that it be of the nature of the business to be transacted. If the public were present, there will be a disclosure to them and relevant information within the meaning of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. Item 9. Finances. Oh, yes, the exclusion, the private item will be item 21 and 20. Yes. So finances, has anybody any questions on 9A? That's the money over £1,000. Yes.
We do 9 a.m. 9 p.m.
Don't do them together.
It's just a question. Summary one, we've got payroll.
Where was that?
Very first line. Good, fine.
That was 20. Now it's. It's over October. Yeah, that's obviously fine. Straight on to.
What are the rates of the budget? Just got two questions. One is housing codes, the budget has gone up by 70,000 on income. What's been around for a minute, so.
That's the tip funding.
Right, yes.
For the repairs and whole.
We'll get the ground and the other one is the Blues Festival, costs of neighbours, budget figure, current budget.
Yeah.
There was the installation of the affairs. Investment in equipment. Very good market as well on brand. Quite expensive. Road. Dash probably. Walk out chain.
Right, hopefully that might boost the income by, but.
That's all.
Fingers crossed. Okay, other than that, I'll
Will
move.
you propose, can I have a second propose? Thank you, Patricia, all those in favour? Thank you. Item 10 is small grants awards, July 2026. Please begin to that.
Well, I think the report speaks for itself really. So the Alcatraz was the nature reserve, the big 5,000 ongoing there.
not issues on the grants or not no issues on the policy. That as you know, is an issue of footpath, isn't it? On the north of Kingsbury Road. Anybody want to say anything about that road? No. So it's calling for to see an update from the chairman of Colin on the work which is going to take in got a paper and some sketches. Alice?
Yes, so you can see from the report that we've got 2 grades. And actually, that's all that is absolutely great. And even the children from One Street came along to help. Wonderful afternoon and saw what we had. Really good to have the market with their flower tower now, and it's all up. And hopefully the other 2 that are in storage. Not that we've got 1 in storage, one of the other one. Yes. So we've got 2 others. I don't think we'll be able to do them this year, but for the spring planting, we'd like those to be started somewhere. We just want more volunteers.
I think personally, all the work that you go into this, I know it's not easy, but it's well done.
With the heat. Can I just
Yes.
you were
The answer to that is yes. So they will be repainted, but I've got some sad news for you. I don't know whether you know. Young George, he does live in Paris.
I know
So he will be going back to university.
About 3 months.
Hurrah! He's a lovely chap.
Yes.
I can do chair to something that congratulate Alice and the team for a wonderful display that outcome, and especially at the back of the shop that I work at. She's done a lovely job.
And George.
And George. And yes, I'm going to give it up. I am keeping it clean every time I go in because I have to admit it's more on Monday. There was a lot of rubbish on there, and I quickly cleaned it up and made sure that the plants are watered as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay, if you want to say something. No. That. Item 13 is Treasure Our Town. We've got I'm sorry that we weren't here, but we went to the first place this year, zero harder. Yes.
It's really disappointing. The drains on Boundary Street completely blocked, all of them. Some of them were double drains. I assiduously noted and reported every single one, and to LCC on Working Streets. I think it was 11 drains that are reported completely blocked. And I've just got a standard report saying that their inspector had looked at the drains, which had greenery growing out of them, and they considered them to be fine, but they would continue to monitor, which is whether we consider writing separate letters on Working Streets. You're getting it all the time. I'm getting it with quite serious exposed manhole covers, quite serious potholes. We just continue to monitor. But I thought when I was doing these 11 drains, I thought to myself, well, this is good, because they can do them all in one visit. It's not like I'm annoyingly doing one. But to have none of them reach the standard was amazing. The cigarette butts were off the scale, weren't they, Jean? Jean and I got repetitive. we got repetitive strain injury from it. I know that there's like a machine you can get, which is like a sucky cigarette sucking up machine. I don't know whether that's something we ought to consider, but I just make my plea once again that we absolutely try to build spreadsheets so that we can alert all potential volunteers and group each time. Because it's right that we have them at different times to try and catch different demographic. But we need to give people not just social media, but the sort of advanced. And then I think it might be mentioned in the Borough Council's report that on Thursday, a paper's coming to the exec about issuing FPNs for dog poo fouling and also littering. Because both of the last 2 quarters, there are absolutely no fines at all for dog poo fouling or littering. Yet self-evidently, Alice, there's quite a lot of littering and dog poo fouling. So I'm just hopeful that the exec decides to follow the officer's advice on that.
Thank you. I've got Dorothy in there, Alice.
We've had borough councillors that had a letter sent to us from fire county council about flags. Flags are flying. Yes. And the borough council wrote to the county council to complain about flags, some that will have falling off, that are ragged, that are tatty looking, that are covering cameras. And so I didn't think the reply was that helpful. And we were just told, just report them. If you think they're a nuisance, report them. So there's no plans at county council, which I think will be a massive tax. I think it should just here. But they're not going to come and remove them en masse. We have to report them. So any flags that look like they're going to fall off or covering the camera, just report.
I think we can remove those.
Just report them on the streets.
We can remove those on the shops, so because they're nothing to do with that.
The flags that are in the town centre, like the St George's Day, the one come, they just come down Friday morning.
I see someone picked it up with some house and we don't ask the trustees or anybody, we could put them there, but we got put up there, so. Alice, yes.
About the street, there seems to be and I think needed one.
Good on that.
Never gone back last week.
Okay.
So, and there was another one at Sneak it on that strand.
So call it Mason's Mill.
Most of the bus. And it's particularly near bus stops that I think there should be a little bit. And I've been noticing that a lot of them are beginning to get rather full, especially by convenience stores. Weekend. I did ask whether we could have a larger one on Knox Lane. They came back with this. I would have really thought. I think that's something that we need to keep an eye on.
Thank you. I've got Ian and then I've got Brian and Patricia. Ian.
Thank you, Chair. On the grazing centre, this has always been a major issue. The 2 grates at the bottom of West Exchange Back Street, they have been blocked up this year. They are causing major problems. There was a leak on the back street, very, very seriously. And they had to put sandbags to protect the houses on Glasgow and Boundary Street because the water will go straight into the house. Every time somebody kept using the horse lamp in the yard, the amount of water coming down was actually threatening the houses. Whilst I've been moaning about it in Lancashire, whilst I got told was, oh, accident don't make two grades. I can tell you two grades. And it's like, what? So, you know, it seems to me that Lancashire County Council have written more stories than they maybe got with their Brothers Grimm.
Okay, thank
What can
you.
we do about it?
Brian,
I was just talking about the snicket on off Knott's Behind. It's a snicket that leads up to Penrose View, where the big. And secondly, drainage issue, which county council, I think we've been told before, we don't routinely maintain drains any longer. They wait till there's a problem and then we come out and they will clear the drains. And we did this for not about 3 years ago when the culverts flooded and the drains down there. And we came down and put sandbags on. Did it on Sunday night, but we likely come up during the weekend.
thank you. Tricia,
Certainly got cigarette butts problem. So yeah, that's done in the report as well. Just looking at the diagram, and you see all the different chemicals that are in a cigarette. That gets into our water, as Riley said. It is very harmful to animals and good. But it's also more for our flying friends, because if they can't see the brown bit, that's what core, they think that the white piece is red. And they'll try and pick at it, and they get no choice. Also, the amount of bins that are, I come up to work early mornings, and some of the bins in town centre are overflowing, especially at the on the Monday morning after the weekend. I would hope that we could ask environmental waste and Pendle to try and be a bit more proactive and cleaning our town centre of the waste bins. Thank you, Chair.
I know you suggested Comtown Council would ask for this, was there?
Yes, please.
I mean, what, to do with it? Yes,
And so we'll take up mystery of the missing bins. I'm not aware of any policy about that. I'll be on that first thing in the morning. Read the block drains at the bottom of West Exchange Street. You mentioned that to me 2 years ago. I looked into it. It is accent housing. So if we want it to be unblocked, we should write to accent housing. It is not LCC. It's just, yeah, it's hard to know who owns all these little bits of code. It's a surprising thing all the time, isn't it? Are we going to write to LCC about the actual automated messages that are just not going to empty them? Obviously, I provided photographic evidence. They're just not going to empty them. Also, when reform got in, they made a big hurrah, because under the Tories, you're absolutely right, it was only when they were reported, reform came and they said there was a full programme and every single drain would be done every single year. And I have not seen that.
So it's not just the litter, it's the grades and it's the drain. Those grades are disgusting. They've obviously been like that.
Yes.
They're impacted, aren't they? Yes.
It's the very 3 words, unadopted black streets.
No, it is there. But Boundary Street is not unadopted. Patton Street is not unadopted.
Well,
It is on West Exchange Street, back West Exchange Street.
And is that there?
The majority of the ones that are being dealt with are in unadopted.
You know, that Norfolk Street.
Yeah.
Is another, Alice, something don't they?
So, when you mentioned the bits of Alice, which bins were you talking about?
And there's a bin near Mason's Mill bus stop,
Right,
and there's a bin near the bench at the bottom of Knott's Drive. And there's also one of
so Sarah,
I think you want to do it.
send me,
yeah, they've got no bins there.
Okay, thank you for that. Right, we'll move on to the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. Nathan,
Well, we're almost ready for the festival to return, and ticket sales are going well. We've sent out quite a lot of merchandise last week as well, so all the t-shirts have arrived. And obviously we'll be all that in terms of marketing over the next couple of weeks. So far there's on 361 tickets, so we're expecting an increase in ticket sales over the next couple of weeks. We do have a couple of volunteer spots left. We'll depend on which volunteer over the weekend, please let us know. But yeah, we're almost ready for the festival to return.
okay,
That's the question I asked. Yes, how does that compare to last year?
I believe we're approximately 10% ahead of where we were last year.
They preferred definite 10% ahead rather than
I'm 98% sure we're 10% ahead.
because maybe feel that in the next report like this, that we have a column underneath it that compares it to the previous year.
Yeah.
Or the previous year.
Chairman, rather than wait until the next meeting, can that be?
are we happy with that?
No,
Okay. That's on the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. No? Doesn't mean, I'm too tempting this cold neighbourhood.
I mean, I can, if you like, I can say that we're in a moving landscape. You've got Angela Rayner is back, which she was the one that got rid of the urban uplift. She was the one that spread the huge housing targets around the shires. I'm not hopeful, but perhaps Andy Berman is going to put an enormous amount of money behind building new social housing and places that are currently considered to be not viable, for which we have a great number, will suddenly, like water into wine at Cana, will suddenly become viable. And nothing could make me happier than that. I sit on the Chorlton Parish Council Neighbourhood Plan working group, and they're slightly ahead of us because it's a smaller place and they've got less to do. And they're in negotiations with Pendle Borough Council, and they are taking a large number of houses in Chorlton, relative to the size, of course. They're a village, so they don't benefit. They benefit from being in that 30% that's not in the M55 corridor in a way that we don't. If we seriously have to look at taking an actual number for this iteration, we're in a bad place. So our expert has rewritten the policies, has rewritten the work that Gina has reworked. I've reworked it. I've edited down the early sections of the plan, forward the analysis of code, the various elements like that, all the sort of beginning bits, if you like. But now we're coming to the crux of the matter, which is, of course, the housing target. So it's a worry. I'm not going to hide it from you. A small thing coming to this here is that lots of people, when we talk about the non-designated heritage assets, all listed buildings, but they don't know they're listed buildings. So just to stop that confusion, we're going to create a document that's really clear that has all the listed buildings up front with just the descriptions from Historic England. Historic England have done most of the photographs. I'll go and pop up the ones where there aren't photographs. Then they're segmented and separate. And then behind that will be the non-designated heritage assets. So we've got like one book of heritage for Karen. It's really clear and everybody can see it. And then we'll get one of our volunteers to map it for us.
First iteration. Many sites and overlooked green space. Glaciers eventually got through. Alternatives, remember 2023. West Street or based food. Second. Before. So. Low, met all criteria. That officer decided that. It is criteria. So, in early February this year, I created a new document and submitted it. Sarah and said, to the two consultants at 2 days who review it. And meeting
it hasn't been decided. It's in the same Nowheresville land as Briarcliff Avenue. So we've got the data for it. We know that Pendle knocked it back, but ultimately for this next iteration of the neighbourhood plan, just like we've got a green spaces document now, which has all the green spaces that we put forward, and some of them failed. Like I think we put Kill Hill forward, didn't we? And that failed because it was an extensive tract of land. So we put them all forward, and they have to be weighed against the 3 tests. And of course, people argue about the 3 tests, but to remind you what the 3 tests are, they must be demonstrably special, they must be close to the neighbourhood they serve, and they must not be an extensive tract of land. So the bar for neighbourhood plans, they just have to be sound. So it's a little bit less than for the borough council. It's not as stringent a test, still a test. And we will take the advice, and obviously we'll come to a future meeting, we'll take the advice of the 2 Daves on Briarcliff Avenue, Dewhurst Street, Tony's Wood is another one, Manor Road is another one, Cone Beach is another one, and we'll just, that has to be scored against the 3 criteria.
The new version of the count did not add different criteria.
No, they're the same 3 criteria, but they've moved the paragraph. So it used to be 103, but it's now something else. The same 3 criteria.
What about the biodiversity?
It's a different thing. So you could look for a space that is special from a biodiversity. So it's a classification we didn't have in the previous neighbourhood plan. So, for example, there's some ancient woodland in Waterside that became apparent when LCC did its mapping. And that is classified by LCC as ancient woodland. I think, for example, that our neighbourhood plan, separate to a green space, which has a designation and the 3 tests, should have, taking from LCC, but possibly overlaying some extra local knowledge, special places from a biodiversity perspective for a particular reason. So it could be veteran trees, it could be special orchids, it could be curlews. But I don't think that's the same as green space. That you're not weighing it against those three tests, and it doesn't fulfil the same purpose.
Could we put under that triple SI, something like that?
Triple SI is something that's very high bar.
Oh, yeah. But it's something that's on the line towards it.
Does that help? Okay.
Competition. Put in things like just really for rewilding, for pollinators and things like that.
I think if I were you, and you were like, I'm really keen to get Dewhurst Street in, when it comes to that meeting, we like weigh against the test. Just say, to be on the black side, the 2 days go, do you know what, it's not be special, or whatever, or it's not close to the community, it's I know it's not an extensive effectively. And they say no for whatever reason, and they say that it can't be on you for whatever reason, which I think would be pessimistic. If they do say no, then I would then take the biodiversity, which isn't an official planning designation, as you fallback. So Gina and I are having a sort of catch up with Dave, we're calling him Dave 1, online.
I still need to, Dave.
Yeah, we're having that. I'll send you loads of dates. And then once we're through there, we'll have another draft to have a meeting about, and also there have been more changes. We're constantly trying to keep up with the changes, as is Temple. But until recently, you could say the ministerial statements led you to believe where the NPPF was going. Now we've got new ministers, we've got a new prime minister. We might be having some other ministerial statements. It might be wise just to let things settle for a month, in some senses, to just see what comes out. Because Angela Rayner is going to want to make it a mark, isn't she? And if she has got a load of money for social housing, that makes it interesting for us in Kent.
When's that? Sorry. How?
Just want to clarify where Groton Beach.
On beach. Where's Groton Beach?
It's next to ELE by the churchyard, by the cemetery.
Nobody ever calls it a beach.
It's what the children call it at SEAC. Can we go to Coney Beach? They call it.
Okay, well, I think we'll start with
That.
people that send me stuff.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah.
so when's the last time you had a neighbourhood?
It was months ago. Yeah, it was March.
I know people, no, I was asking how you could remember when it was. So
We have been doing it.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. The thing is, there's no point having a meeting unless you've got to a point where you've got a new version to share or some decisions to make. There was actually no point. We need to get to that point. We have got certainly the early sections now, they've all been written. And I finished all the non-designated heritage assets. I never want to look at someone.
Can we use some of the last one because it was a massive document, and there must be some in there that we can use.
So we can use a lot of the evidence base. If you take the significant views analysis, all of that exactly the same. Our design code is going to be embedded into the main document. Some of the stuff from the main document is coming out and going into separate documents to streamline our main document to make it easier for developers. There's a little bit of that, but unfortunately, the policies have to be reworded to fit with the new national planning policy framework, even though we completely disagree with the new national planning policy framework.
Thank you. Anything on the neighbourhood plan? Yeah. Okay. The next item 16, which is planning. We've got 5. The first one is 26/0403/FUL, and it's found to the west of Lakeside, Redley and Poole. Anybody got any comments on this? Is it being yeah. It's best to come over to the big house, but my it's something, it's cost the law is supposed to be done like this, so I'm not sure this what we can do.
Yeah, I'm sure we have this, well, not this, I'm sure this is
Reiteration.
yes.
It's upside down one again with the bedrooms downstairs and the upstairs. No.
Completely forgot to.
No. Number 2, 26/04046. Don't anywhere. It's Hargate road called. Yes.
I looked at this, it's like a small, modest, nondescript thing at the bottom of the garden. However, I do feel that we should note this is whatever number it is of our non-designated heritage assets. You know, we should note this, because people never ever sort of listen planning details. It should be noted by the planning officer.
Yes, Brian.
I don't think it does.
Yes, Ian.
Yeah, we've got here on the building curious figure.
I think there is.
What I'm saying on this.
Oh, no, they won't be on that. No,
Yeah, so, the question there is this in keeping with existing buildings on design of the materials? One having a dedicated heritage building, and having something that looks like it's about the 20th century.
It's Sarah Crimson.
Yeah. So yes, the front is stone and the paint backs with its render. I mean, it's not a very inspiring thing, really, is it? It's modest.
It's quite a long way further back away from this.
So no comment then. I think the next one is 26/035 stroke everywhere. It's Cemetery Larch, Keithville Road and Cumberland. Yes, yeah. It's for a garden, isn't it?
Yes, I'm totally pro this. However, they suggested a new section of wall, which if you zoom in, Nathan, it's the top left. It's that bit there. Now, what's interesting, if you go and look at it, is that you've got very particular, narrow, the actual walls, they're very narrow, long, rest stone. But what it's above is a rubble wall. It's not even really coursed. So you've got the juxtaposition of a very formal, narrow, unusual pieces of stone that the house is built on, and then this sort of rustic side wall that goes down, what's it called, Sagar Fold. So the actual illustration that they've shown is some kind of generic anywhere's filled shape. You actually introduce the sort of the two sorts of stone. So I've written to the planning manager, said, please could it be either the rubble stone that matches this wall, or very particularly, and I think this will be the best solution, the actual dress stone that matches the house. Because a third sort of generic stone would look very jarring, I feel, in this context. We're still waiting to hear from the Secretary of State about whether this is listed at the same time. And of course, with the Secretaries of State changing quite so frequently, it must be hard for them to get a hold of their in file, because we were expecting to hear in April. So I think that we do need to scrutinise this. It's not only a non-designated heritage asset, it's also a potential new listed building.
Everybody to agree with Sarah. Yeah. Okay, what would you want us to put? We send it to you.
Would it help you if I forwarded my correspondence with the planning manager and then you can see?
Okay. Spot is 26/0303 stroke NPL. It's 79 Bridge Street, Colne. This is Alice's nemesis, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy for this to go ahead. I don't think there's much problems with this unless it comes up something.
Everything, all the windows are smashed and the doors smashed.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Alice, do you want to say?
Just think we should welcome development.
Yeah.
All part of the extra 7,
Yeah, I'm all in favour of the internal conversion. What worries me is they go to Edinburgh, making the same mistake with donkeys here. And because it's going to convert to make, it's a problem area.
What mistake is that?
What?
Sorry, what mistake?
Is that we need to look at the external, the outside of that building is quite interesting. It's a very old building, 18th century. I believe it's either in or very close to the council conservation area as well. So by altering the outside of the building, I don't think after that, they should preserve the exterior of the building, which they can do a conversion. Yeah, but because it says here, external alteration, if you're looking at that, it's on the wall.
Yes.
Where's the arch entranceway into the back?
Nathan can zoom.
Right, I'll take it back.
Now go to the left, Nathan. Go to the there we are. Zoom there. Can you see that arch?
Very good.
It is a that door inserted there is ugly. And I do think that some people's sensitive could be there. But overall, the fenestration is better than what's there now. That is perhaps the only thing that you could say is a problem with this. Is it's a bit, there should be something better setting in that arch doorway. Something more bespoke.
Is it possible to put that down? We do definitely need to do exterior.
Bespoke entrance with notches. You don't put in favour of it, not 100%, 100%. Yeah. We want to better. The next one, number 5, is 26/0469. Okay, you know, and that's Tony Cropley who's advocate coming. And Wall.
We've got this one, Chairman, you've got the why this application. See her because they did put in for I'm not sure. I'm not sure the new application addresses the reason why it's not.
Eric, could we ask David to elaborate on this? I'm fascinated.
Well, they've got an application for a particular unit to do this. I can't see how we can address in the application.
So why was it confusing?
But that's why it's there, they've had one thing refused, so they're going down a different route, don't they?
So where's the back? At the back, is it, at the back of the nursing home, looking at home? The nearest the art unit, at the other side. Behind. So would that be before, Gate Villas? I don't know what I'm going to say. No objection, or?
Do you want to say something about? We could ask a question.
Yeah.
We could ask a question to say, is the officer convinced that the reason for this previous refusal from the certificate of your lawful use has been addressed by this application? We don't know, do we?
No. There is a question.
Yeah.
Let's ask a question.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Gina's going to ask the question. Do you want to say, I don't know, it's just a planning rules changing, aren't they? A lot of things won't come to committee anymore. October. Does everybody understand that? It's item is correspondence with submission of letter Pendle Council about local government reorganisation.
Sure.
We have received, stage of, improving our cyber security. Basically to, Russian intelligence. So, anyway, yeah, our IT. They'd already approached about what we actually. But, yeah, so, they have provisional costs of doing, just doing 3 things. Fine. Fine. Yeah. So the local government and we elect all on the time. This is just basically to tell you that we are looking at this. The full proposal will be taken.
Which Hopkins just said, it was the for some. GCHQ is it?
Yeah, we got a notification for, the NSA, right? Yeah.
So you see that is and hopefully saying trust this forum.
Well,
Yeah.
they're looking at certain options that we can do as council based on our current, we assess what we currently have. And some are, I think they went from level 0 to level 4, level 4 being for basic protection. And on certain we were level 1. So they are recommending to bring us up to a level 4 in hosting and level 3 in
know what fibre is the. I think that Cyber Essentials was popular a few years back. Lots of organisations have it done, etc. Just test the basis. As you say, of the four pillars, then we score 1 in 2 of them and 2 in with a maximum of 4. And 1 is not bad. 1 is the essential already in place. So it's not that we're exposed that we're going to drop our money either. So that's not too bad. Clearly, there's always an upsell to this thing, but a big part of it comes down to just standard discipline about how we use email. I mean, we have our different authentication codes and like. So there's some elements for you. And I think our systems are not fantastically complex. So again, it's not like we're running different things in different clouds and platforms all over the place, and some based here and some placed in the cloud, and some all over. So they're always going to give the most apocalyptic scenario. But you could say £265 a month is possibly worth spending, given the amount of IT money you spend already. Maybe there's a saving somewhere else in our IT. This changes the way we do things.
Possibly, we actually only have the meeting.
Possible.
Somebody else healthcare. Saying all the adverts we used to say other cyber security people are available. Can I make clear that you start tapping back because it keeps coming out of the space?
It's dreadful. Don't use it. It's awful.
It's worse than
It's
nothing.
not awful. You sound like a dragon leaving.
I should remember that.
If we ought to like shop around it to see if the other people give us. I'm sure there'll be other people who give us free advice rather than just being stuck with. I know they're local, but sometimes.
I mean, because obviously they have that. That's why they're.
Yeah. And things that we do. So it's worth looking around now. Start looking around now. Why? Either to see. Don't see. I'm sure that we are in media day. Said that. Possible.
If you look at our history as well, have we been hacked much at all? I think I've never seen your email.
Yeah, sorry.
That's it. But why not? But yeah.
I think the thing with Mary's email is it was from personal.
Oh. Thanks to.
Yes, yes.
I'm also thinking that, it's okay looking at things like this and seems really risky, but reality check is, do the Russians really want to know to get your protection? I know it's right to the defence of the country, but it seems to me that they're doing this, then suddenly put you on state, if you pay us extra amount, say £30 or £40 a month, you will never get taxed. Well, the judge was getting out of 1 in every 300 years, so why would you say something, don't bother? Also, what happens if we have to make working on the court of the town law, speaking to the Russian accent? There's nothing to say how we deal with that. That's what I like of it. Like would have been hacked. So how do we deal with that?
I think just as Howard said earlier, I think there are other villains in the world. You only need some that person in their back bedroom playing around on the internet. They'll do the same sort of thing as the Russians.
What do you want to say to the Russian accent?
Actually,
More Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
there is two. I mean, if you're going to pick two people that are hiding in their bedroom, two lads that got what the other.
The States.
No, not the bedroom.
They were here, somewhere, they are amongst us. I know. Yeah. Seen
Is there any items for the future on this agenda? Anybody got anything, any items to go on the month agenda?
The mayoralty, presumably the regalia goes with that as well.
I'll be able to give you half an answer on that later when you're.
Okay. Well, item 19. Oh, yes.
I don't know whether this is a reasonable, could it be like any other business? Because we have a really good meeting, on Friday, and there will be extra costs. Now, I keep saying I'm going to apply to Historic England for exhibition infrastructure, but I think you need to be sort of potentially alerted to this, that David Tilsley from the Lancashire Archive made a suggestion, and I sort of think it's brilliant, and I sort of think it's dreadful. But we do have an awful lot of these desks, and we used to have them until a couple of years ago here. And so obviously we've got this exhibition infrastructure that's all different configurations, it's like Lego. And then obviously with the idea of us getting our mayoralty regalia back, we have to have a museum quality case, which is really, really, really expensive. But then we have a lot of things that we might want to show, Jeff Cranley style things, that aren't actually valuable, but we don't want people to touch them. So the chap from the Lancashire Archive said, I thought it was sort of brilliant really, where there's the tooled leather of that sort of slope of all of our desks, of which we've got loads, is that be cut out, placed with toughened glass, internally lit, locks working on the drawers so they can't be opened, and they become then, right for this building, museum cases. And so a joiner came to look at the job on Friday afternoon, and he said it was dead easy. I don't think he submitted a quote, has he, Gina?
No,
No.
I think you just said it was very doable.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he sent me a WhatsApp saying it's very durable. But I thought I'd mention it, whether we'd perhaps like to discuss it next time. Because you might all be appalled at the butchery of the original Victorian desks, but not suggesting we do all of them. It gives them real purpose then, because they serve as desks, but they also serve as display cases. Yes, it does. And you can have them along the edges of things, so they're not just sort of piled in the room next door, in a way.
Any comments on that?
No, days like that.
Right. Based on the next meeting, which is 18th of August.
Yeah, we can you throw that back away? It's absolutely pathetic.
Who sounded it was
Take it off and throw it away.
it? Throw it back at him.
That was all.